All right, so clearly ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, like just the robots in general, are insanely powerful and cool tools. But if you want to use them for email marketing in your business, specifically email marketing that's going to bring you more customers and sales, you have to know how to do it right. So let's talk about that in this video. All right, David White from That Marketing Show here. I'm going to show you in 10 seconds just how cool these robots are. So I've lined up a fake prompt here for something that doesn't exist, and the prompt says this: I own a Cuban-style restaurant in San Diego called Slippy's. We've just released a new fish pie onto our menu. Please help me write an email about this new addition to my database and give them a call to action to book a table. Oh, and write the email in the style and rhythm of the Wellerman. And if you don't know the Wellerman, that is a sea shanty about a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. Oh my God. It's actually doing it. And this is... Dude, this is not bad. Alright. Clearly this is something that can be very, very cool for your business. And if this can write a poem like that in like 8 seconds, this can write emails that get people to want to watch things, register for things, buy things, read things on your email list. So let's talk about how this is done. Now, the first thing that you need to know about email, well, really any content that you create with artificial intelligence, is that these tools are not good for news angle stuff. So ChatGPT 3, like the information that it's based on, is old, like 12 months old, even though the tool itself is relatively new. So don't try to use these tools for news style things just yet, because it doesn't actually know anything that's happened in like the last 12 months. Sounds really weird for me to say that, but that's disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two, or like pre-content idea number two. Idea number two is it is much easier to edit than it is to create. So if I said to you, write an email about getting people to come to my restaurant and eat fish pie, you might kind of struggle with that at first. But if I came to you and said, hey, I just spent, like 2 hours writing this email about fish pie and getting people to book a table at my restaurant, can you think of anything that I might be able to do better? I'm sure you'd come up with like 4 or 5 ideas immediately. So it's much easier to edit than it is to create. So use the artificial intelligence to create, and then yourself, it'll be much faster to edit it, add in your own personality, tweak things, mess around, ask the robot to like adapt what it is that it's created, and you'll find that you can do this sort of stuff really fast. Now, the final thing that you need to know to do this whole like robot thing really well is that when you give it prompts like this, with the fish pie example or whatever, there may be quite a big difference between what you ask for and what you actually want. So a friend of mine who's in the tech space, this is the example that he gives. He says, you can have a robot and you can say to it, hey, go and put the milk in the fridge. And to you, that means like, go and put the milk in the fridge. Now, what the robot could do is walk over to the fridge, open the door, take the lid off the milk thing, like tip it all through the fridge, and walk away and leave the door open. Which is not what you wanted, but like that's what you asked for. The milk made it into the fridge. So you got to be really clear with these robots, with these artificial intelligence tools, when you talk to them and when you ask them to help you with things, to make sure that you're asking for what you want and that you actually get it. So there's a bit of a knack to this. Let me take you over to my computer here, and we're going to talk about what does this involve. So we're going to start a new chat. So I'm going to get ChatGPT right now to help me write emails about something that I know absolutely nothing about. And I've picked the topic of raising healthy children because I don't know anything about that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do with ChatGPT is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give it this prompt. I'm going to tell it, you're a copywriter with 13 years experience and you know the principles of marketing and advertising from experts such as, and I've just picked a bunch of people who I like here. So you also have 10 plus years in childhood development and parenting strategies. Let me know when you're ready to get started. And it is important for me to tell this to the robot so it knows how to respond. It's going to respond like an expert copywriter who actually knows what's involved with raising children. Because if I wasn't clear about this, then it's sort of like, it doesn't know who to give me answers as. Man, that sounds weird for me to say that. But this is what you need to do with ChatGPT and with other robots. Like, you're X. You're going to help me solve this problem as X kind of like person. It sounds weird for me to say person as well. So that's the first thing. Now, the second thing that we need to do if we're going to write an email is we need to help ChatGPT understand who is it writing the email for? Like, what's the deal with my business? Who is it writing the email to? And what's kind of like the message around that? Now, I'm going to show you probably a longer prompt than you've ever seen before right here. And it looks like this. So I've highlighted in red kind of like the answers to what I was just saying. So who is this robot marketing for? Now, the first section in red here that I've got is, I'm a parenting coach for couples in their early to mid 30s who are having their first child. Now, I teach new parents about how to raise healthy children through nutrition, childhood development, sleep routines, education strategies for newborns, physical activity, and parenting tips. So when this robot creates an email for my business, it's going to talk about these sorts of things. If I did not tell it this, who knows what it might talk about. The second part that I've highlighted in red here is letting the robot know, who are you talking to? So for the parents who I market to, their core driver, I'm going to change that to core desire. Their core desire is to raise a happy, healthy baby who develops properly and excels with early life skills like gross and fine motor skills and language. They want their child to be healthy by maintaining a good sleep and eating routine and to have a healthy parenting relationship with this baby. I spoke a little bit about their fears as well and things they don't want and some limitations that they might have around money and whatever. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, you know what, dude? I am not going to write this out to ChatGPT every single time I need to send an email, and you shouldn't. Here's the deal. Your business is not going to change very much like now versus a week from now when you're writing another email, or a month from now when you're launching a different campaign. But every single time you talk to the robot, it needs to know this information. So this is the sort of stuff that you just copy and paste. You write this out once. Every time you use the robot to help you, this is the sort of stuff that you've got to tell it. So back to what I've got on the computer here. So the robot knows what it's marketing. My business is a parenting coach. It knows who it's talking to, and it kind of gets like my message and what I'm all about. Now I can go into getting the robot to help me with specific actions. So that's where the next red section comes in. I'm launching a webinar next week called Playtime for Babies that's about blah, 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 blah. This stuff isn't that important. What's important is what's in red. So what I need you to do is go and help me write a Go register email. The email should be about 400 words. Use the information in my business that I've told you. Write a catchy subject line. Have a big hook to start the email. Deliver a small amount of content about the importance of physical play. And then give this is how you spell register, by the way. Then give a call to action to register for Playtime for Babies, which is the name of my webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in. Everything above this line, by the way. This is the sort of stuff that I would copy and paste every time I talk to ChatGPT. And then all this sort of stuff is the things that I would just mess around with every time I'm doing a new campaign. But I'm going to paste this into ChatGPT, and I'm going to do it knowing that what comes out is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be fast, and it's going to be something that I can quickly and easily edit. So here we go. We've got a subject line. Help your baby develop physically and mentally with Playtime for Babies. So what do we got? Dear first name, as a parenting coach, I understand how important it is for new parents to raise happy, healthy babies who develop properly and excel in their early life skills. So I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to put it in my Google Doc so you can see what we got to work with. All right. Let's look at this. Let's examine it. So the first time you get an email like this, it's probably not going to be all that interesting. And looking at this one, it's okay. It's not great. I don't like the opening line. I don't mind the personality that's kind of going on here. This is unusual to see this, but glancing at this, and you may agree or disagree with my feedback, My thinking is this email's just a little bit boring, doesn't have enough personality, and I feel like if we had some stats or some research, this could be a bit more powerful, for want of a better term. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to pause the video while I type in this prompt, and let's see what I can get it to improve about this. All right, so that took me about 5 seconds. I just wrote out, thanks. Could you please rewrite this email and make 3 adjustments? Number 1, add a lot more personality and fun. Number 2, include some relevant stats and research. And 3, start out with a big idea / hook for the opening sentence that will grab attention. And let's see what the robot comes up with. Boom, there we go. That is a big idea or hook for the opening sentence. Now I'm looking for more personality, and I can see, looking here, that this feels a lot more like a person talking to a person than the word I'm going to use here is stiff. This feels a lot less stiff to me than the previous email. This may not be your writing style, but you can go and tell the robot whatever you want. So the last thing that I'm looking for here is research, and we've got some. Now, according to a study by the American Academy of Pediatrics, children under the age of 2 who spend more than 1 hour a day in front of a screen have lower cognitive development. So here's a tip. Not sure if I trust the robot with this, because a lot of the time, well, sometimes I should say, it'll say things like that and they're not true. So I'm going to say, tell me about the American Academy of Pediatrics study you referenced. Was it a study? It was a study. All right, there we go. So sometimes if ChatGPT says like, here's a study or research from so-and-so shows this, if you question it on the study, it'll say like, I've made it up. So if you ask it about a study and it says, actually, here's the deal, it's a real study. So there we go. We have one Go Register email lined up. Now, if we look at everything that we've got here, this kind of like chat, for want of a better term, it's like a little universe inside ChatGPT in and of itself. So if I started a new chat, I kind of have to go through this process again. But the more that I talk to ChatGPT in this particular thread, the more we kind of, it keeps the information about like, what am I talking about? It doesn't know anything about this fish pie. If I go back in here and I start talking about fish pie, it knows like, Slippy's, it's that place in San Diego. Whereas in here, it knows everything that I've just told it. So what I'm going to get it to do is write me another email. So give me 10 seconds and I'm going to write out that prompt now. All right, here we go. This took me about 25 seconds. I said, thanks. Can you please help me write out a last call to register for the webinar email to be sent out the day before the webinar begins using all the information above? This email should be about 200, I'm going to change that to 300 words. Should have a big idea or a hook to start and lean on the scarcity angle of needing to register or miss out for the webinar. Let's see what you got, ChatGPT. Subject line, last call. Webinar starts tomorrow. And you know what? I don't need to mess with this. This actually looks pretty damn good. I like this. So that is how you use ChatGPT as a tool to help you write better emails. Now, the most important thing to really recognize here, context. There is potentially a big difference between what you ask for and what you want. So make sure that you kind of have these long prompts. Please don't write them out every single time. That'll drive you mad. You might as well write the email. Have these long prompts. Don't be afraid to sort of train the robot as you go through a conversation. Don't be afraid to say, that was boring. I didn't like that. What I could also do here is I could say to it, I've got an example email for you of how I wrote about my last webinar that I did. Please model my voice, please model my style and personality, and I can train it that way. But the most important thing to know is context. The second most important thing to know is it is a lot easier to edit than it is to create. So use this as kind of a tool for you to get, rather than taking like, I don't know, let's say it took you 10 minutes to write a really good email. If it takes you 30 seconds to get a good email and then 3 minutes to turn that into a really good email, that 3 minutes and 30 seconds is better than like 10 minutes of just starting from scratch. So in a nutshell, this is how you use ChatGPT for email marketing. This video is going to be part of a series that I'm doing on that marketing show. So click on the screen somewhere right now and you'll have access to other videos about ChatGPT and how to use this for email marketing. And I will see you in the next video.